The question I want to ask you guys is, when you first started your professional sports journey, what's one piece of advice that you wish you were given?
Okay, I didn't play pro sports, I played school sports, but one piece of advice would be that, and this is good advice, you should always have a fitness routine, whether it's 2 days a week or 1 day a week, and it's a great way to relieve stress. And I wasn't thinking about sports as a stress reliever when I was in school, but as it turned out to be a great one.
Again, another question that could be a lot of time, but we've got a game later to go see. Gosh, just one. I think it's to run your own race. There's a lot of different things that I feel like I've learned, but I think the core of it is understanding that you can't move forward if you're constantly looking back, looking beside you, comparing yourself. And with the world that we live in, especially social media alone, it's hard to do that. It's hard to go through your Instagram and find yourself scrolling and not compare yourself. So in all aspects of life, you run your own race. You know, what works for you, what makes sense for you. I've been coining this term of like a selfish season. I literally just did a post on it a couple hours ago, shameless plug. But really prioritizing yourself. When you're running your own race, you're not focused on all the other things around you. You're focused on what you can control, what you're doing, the routines that you set, eating right, sleeping right, the little things, to make sure that every day you're getting better, every stride you're getting further. So I've learned that later in life, but I wish I had known that when I first started, of just going at your own pace. And it's a marathon, quite frankly, not a sprint. So if you just continue the journey, you'll get there. Not to be planted, not buried specific, but it's all connected of just like staying the course.
Awesome. Let's give it up for our first round. Eagles and the first Black woman to coach in the Super Bowl. I'd also like to invite up Allie, who's a member of the US Lacrosse Team and the most decorated women's lacrosse player at UNC. No pressure for those of you in the building who play lacrosse. I'm just saying. And Dr. Sloan Green, would you mind joining us as well? All right. Dr. Sloan Green has paved the way as the first. I think everyone in the room knows who Dr. Sloan Green is, but she has paved the way as the first Black collegiate coach, 3-time national champion, founder of Black Women in Sports Foundation, and member of numerous local and national Hall of Fames, to name a few accolades. So in our last conversation, we talked a lot about life off the field. This time we're going to talk a little bit more about time on the field and all of the trailblazing that you all have done. So my question is going to be for all of you. The first woman in the Super Bowl didn't take the field until 2021 for Super Bowl 55. The first coach wasn't until 2022. The National Lacrosse Association launched in 1968 for men's professional lacrosse. With so few examples of individuals who looked like you, what motivated you all to continue in your path, and was there ever a moment that you felt like giving up? You want to start?
Sure. I would say for me, even though there wasn't a whole lot of representation, a big part of why I continued to do what I do was my village and my family. My dad has coached football for 35 years, and so he's been a huge part in just making sure that I'm comfortable in that environment, and he just surrounded my mom and my brothers. They all empowered me to just say, hey girl, like if this is what you want to do, this is what you're passionate about, let's do it. And so that has been huge. And a time that I felt like I couldn't do it anymore was actually my transition from East Tennessee State. I was a graduate assistant. I become full-time there. I was actually working with women's basketball and strength and conditioning, and then I moved on to Houston. And that was my first kind of big girl full-time job. I had women's basketball and soccer. I played soccer collegiately as well. And I think the transition and the time of year that I was going in, both teams were still in season. It was right after COVID, and so I had a lot thrown at me. And I was just so overwhelmed, and I'm such a perfectionist, so I was like, oh my gosh, I have to have everything right, and like, this is not right, and there's so much stuff. So I think I really struggled with that, and so I really just leaned on my village again, and they walked me through it, got me through it, believed in me, so I could believe in myself again, and that was kind of hit the ground running from there.
It's awesome. There's something to be said for a strong support system, you know, whether that's family, that's your friends next to you, really just having someone to lean on is always super impactful. Tina?
Well, I'm a real Philadelphian. I grew up near the airport, and I have to thank my parents. I had some great parents, and my father was an electrician at the Navy Yard, and and we didn't have any organized sport. We played kickball and all this stuff. And there was 13 people in my graduating class at Alice Carey. But thank God for the going to Girls High. Back then, Girls High was a school for talented girls. It still is.
Girls High.
However, there were very few. There were 20 black girls in my class, and I thank God for the Jewish population were also being ostracized. So my gym teacher, Jane Weissenhofer, she sort of recognized something in me because I was ready to go back to Bartram. I thought I was smart, but when I got to Girls High, I found out what smart was. So anyway, she told me to go, to Westchester. They sort of directed my life, and I went to Westchester because they told me to go to Westchester, and there I was really, exposed to, a sport at a higher level. So, I thank God that I'm still here to be able to enjoy and see the progress that we have made.
Well, yeah, as you mentioned, Athletes Unlimited, the professional league for women's lacrosse, is kind of a new thing. And I think there's a lot of lacrosse players in the room, and we can all agree upon when we were younger, the idea of pro lacrosse wasn't really a thing. So the opportunity to be able to play professionally and continue that lacrosse career is something I'm extremely grateful for. And like I said, I think everyone in here can agree that we dedicate so much time and so much of our life, and our parents and our support system, our entire life, we pour out so much passion and love to advance our game, to play at the highest level, and to just have all the life lessons that come along with the sport that I think we become extremely grateful for. So it's nice to be able to just continue that and not have to just hang up the cleats or put the stick down and just throw it all away to get a big girl job, right? Like now we can own it. Like we can own that we can dream of playing professionally, and little girls can dream of that, right? There's some younger players in the back. It's a reality now, and it's out there, and it's really, really cool that Athletes Unlimited has created this platform to help grow the game. And players like myself and all these college players in the room, we got to continue to do our part to grow the game, make it more accessible, give little girls that opportunity to dream and to watch lacrosse and to feel inspired by the players and teams and the communities that are doing so much to help grow this awesome sport. So just grateful that it's here now. It's exciting to be at the start of it, and I'm really excited to see where it goes in the next few years.
So that's a great segue into our next question. You all have shattered your own glass ceilings. What's something that you hope to see the next generation achieve, and what advice would you give them to help them shatter their own glass ceilings? No pressure.
Well, I think first of all you have to believe in yourself. When I came to Temple, they told me you don't have to win. just do well. And at Westchester, we were taught to win. And I'm so glad that I got an opportunity at a young age to on a collegiate level to participate on a high level, and also to have mentors who saw something in me that I didn't see, but I accepted the fact that I took their advice. And you have all kinds of. I'm advertising, always advertising. My daughter, I never thought that she would be the head women's tennis coach at Harvard, but she would be in the huddle, and I have pictures of her in the huddle, and my son too. He was a character, but he was around. But both of them are involved in tennis at a high level. because of the fact that I had an opportunity to do when they were young. You know, and I think we really got to start and I keep preaching this, pre-K, and my daughter gets, Mom, stop saying it, pre-K through 8th grade, pre-K through 8th grade, they're very, 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 very dominant ages where kids pick up things, you don't even know that they're picking them up. And you know, I would like to see the next generations. And another thing that you can't get involved with all the rules that NCAA has. So you don't get involved with that stuff. But pre-K, and then you also get your parents involved, because your parents have to bring the kids to practice. They have to take them places. So that pre-K to 8th grade is really important. And I, you know, thank God I had parents and coaches and neighborhood people, you know, that saw something to me that I didn't see in myself. So don't take it for granted. You have an opportunity to make a huge difference. And the fact that we have diversity is great. You know, I would like to see more people of color in the sport, but you know, you gotta learn to get along with everybody. And like I tell my players, they were something else, but they taught me how to coach because I had to deal with them. My coaches, and I have all their championships. I wear the championships on, you know, because the fact that, you know, they say sports psychology. That's what the academics say now, but I call it understanding people and expectation and having values, and that value system is really important. Everybody has, basically we should have values, but we're losing those values.
Good. Yeah, I think for lacrosse specifically, I think one big goal is obviously for it to be in the Olympics. It's in the works right now, so hopefully that can happen. The goal is 2028, so maybe you guys back there. Yeah, that would be really cool. That's a specific goal that I know World Lacrosse and USA Lacrosse is working really hard toward, but really just to see more little girls playing the sport all over the country. I've been fortunate enough to travel a lot around the United States and go into communities where lacrosse might not be as popular, so I would just hope to see that kind of grow, and just having more players use their platforms to grow the game in all different areas and show little kids the joy of the game. Continuing to push out the sport on those platforms, I think, is a great way to help grow.
No, absolutely. I say just continue to grow and own the space that you're in. I think that every single one of you, every single athlete has an individual greatness that they should aim to really, really kind of push out there. And in order to do that, you kind of have to self-develop, right? So you have to be self-aware of why you do what you do, and always go back to that. When the ups and downs that come with your sport, always go back to your why, because it's going to help drive you forward. And then also being able to self-assess and say, hey, like, these are my strengths, these are my weaknesses, these are my triggers, this is how I respond to certain things. And then also just kind of know that, so that you can show up as your best self every single day. And then self-lead. You don't have to be put into some cookie cutter kind of, okay, we all have to be the same way. Like I said, you guys all have individual greatness inside of yourselves, and so making sure that you're self-leading, you're finding something that works for you, so that you're able to show up and be the best team that you can be on a consistent basis. And then make sure that you know what it is, like, don't attach yourself to your sport, do everything you can to your sport, but also know that you are a phenomenal young woman, and you're going to do great things in the world. You can achieve whatever you want to in the world, so just go ahead and keep doing that. And I would say, advice-wise, just learn yourself so you know how to serve those around you better.
I love that. And turning my last question, Greeks.
All right, our last question for the night is, what is the best advice a coach ever gave you?
So my strength coach, Jim Crumpos, he is still in Arizona. He is an instrumental part of why I became a strength coach. But he told me this mantra, and it was be on time, do things right, and show how much you care. And so just be on time, just be enthusiastic, show up early, be ready to learn. do things right, do things with the right intent of having your self-worth and your mental health in line so that you can show up as your best self, and then always show everybody that around you that you care, because you don't know what the person or your teammate next to you is going through. So just show up with a smile on your face, be as positive as possible, and always show that you care.
Well, I was always told I have to represent. And, from my parents on up to, the few people that look like me in the game. You represent us. So, and values, and I was so disappointed when I toured because, I don't drink. I was watching everybody else. But, one of the coaches said, Tina's over there by herself. Out here I was writing letters to my husband, my boyfriend at the time, and by myself, and they're stereotyping me as having, and fortunately, my coaches like Bonnie Groves or whatever said, oh no, that's not, she's this. But anyway, don't give people take people for who they are, and it's very important to not stereotype. And I'm depending on you all. Another thing, the international market is huge, and when I was playing my best field hockey. Field hockey was the intro to lacrosse, and I couldn't go because of the fact they were going to South Africa. But they didn't want to tell me that, that's why I wasn't chosen. But we need to respect the foreign market because it brings a lot to the programs. And right now we have a huge foreign market that we really have to respect. So I just say don't make assumptions about people and respect. And that word respect is our motto for self and others.
A piece of advice that has always stuck with me is just to do the small things well. You can't get all caught up on doing the big things, being the hero. If you do that, it's only going to set you back. If you can focus on doing all the small things to the best of your ability, everything else will fall into place.
Let's give it up one more time for everyone.